Lately I've been watching these videos by Life in Jars, and he has very interesting videos about ecosystems and, well, keeping stuff like this in jars and seeing what happens to them. Ecosystems, plant life, microbiology, all that kind of fun stuff. And I've really enjoyed watching those videos, so I decided to do it myself with my own experiment. So I got this jar right here about at the start of spring of this year, 2021, so I could bring it home, and for my little brother, we were gonna look at the pond water or the lake water under the microscope. And I completely forgot I had the jar, so I put it under the secretary there and just left it there since the start of spring. So it's been a few months, and I expected everything to be dead, but it's not. The water's clear, but there's life in there. There's one snail, one very tiny snail. There's a bigger snail that I just saw a little bit ago. I think he might be at the bottom of the jar right now. But there is a bigger snail that's about that big with a larger shell. So that was kind of surprising to see that still alive in there. So I think even though it hasn't had direct sunlight for a long time, the amount of algae that was just originally in there was enough to keep the snails alive. There's also tiny little other microorganisms, and I think there might be some worms living in the soil. So that's kind of neat. So I labeled this jar start of spring 2021. There's about a sixth of the jar full. I didn't add anything extra, so it's just the soil that sticks in the water. But here's where today's science experiment comes in, is that I have filled each of these jars with water from the same lake as last time. But with each of these jars, I filled it with a different amount of soil. So this is about 1/6, this is about 1/5, and this is about halfway. You know, not scientifically measured, but that's just estimated by eye. So there's another bit to this experiment, and that's that the year is 2021 and it's summer, so that means there are periodical cicadas outside, quite a few of them. And there's a whole system to that, and I won't go into it right now, but there's just a lot of cicadas. And there's also one thing going on with the cicadas called a fungal infection that acts kind of like a virus. And when one gets infected, it tries to spread it to the next one. So what happens is that the cicada gets infected with the fungus, and eventually their behinds fall off. And when it falls off, it leaves a space that is covered with fungus. And if it is a male who is infected, it starts to act like a female to attract a male to spread the fungus to them. And then eventually they die. So in this jar with the tiny bit of soil, I put one dead full cicada in there, completely intact, probably recently died the day I found it. In this jar, I put one that was infected with the fungal infection. So its rear end is gone, and there's the fungus inside this jar. And here, the one with a lot of life in it and a lot of soil, I just put one of the cicada's exoskeletons. So this has about 1/6 jar of dirt in it, and there's one added full cicada. And here I have, same day, 1/5 of the jar, so just about twice, not twice as much, but a little bit more. And I added one fungal infection cicada. And here dirt's half full, and I added one cicada exoskeleton. So here's what is interesting about it so far. That since I got it today, the dirt has not fallen from the water and fallen down to the bottom. So it's still quite a mystery what's still here. But the biggest mystery of all is what's going on in the fungal infection water. Is that I caught a creature, and we're having a big struggle of figuring out what it is. Because what we see a lot in here are these tiny water bugs about the size of a thumbtack, just kind of going around in circles, swimming around, and I've seen them before. But what's interesting is in here is a much bigger thing, and it's right there. So there's just its legs. It's very, very unnerving what it is, because it seems to be very large. And I don't really know what to do about it, because I don't think it's any kind of reptile or amphibian. We already crossed that off the list once we started noticing that its legs looked more insect-like. It's definitely not a crustacean, because the legs don't look quite like that. So it's definitely some kind of water bug, because I've had it in here for a few hours now, and nothing's drowned. It's still alive, kicking around. So only time will tell once the water falls down what animal it even is. And in this one, all we've noticed is just a few microorganisms and also regular sized water bugs. But here in the middle is the most interesting one because there's an unknown animal in there just kicking around. And oh, there he is. Almost looks like a spider, the way its legs are like that. But we have zero clue what it is. So I'm going to be making these videos every day, just seeing how the ecosystem changes. Or every day, if I don't do that, maybe at least once a week. So thank you for watching.